I may be spending up to 30 years in prison. And if you're in crypto and you've been doing what I've been doing, you may not even know it, but you may also be in trouble. So watch the show until the very end, because you may learn something and you may need as much help as you can get. Have any of you ever been to prison? Has anyone here ever been to prison? Has anyone been to jail here? I need to know some of the rules. I need to know what you can and can't do, because I could be facing up to 30 years and you may be too. So we're going to talk about that. Stay tuned till the end. I'm also going to show you some amazing things today. First thing, what would you do if I told you that we're in alt season? No, seriously, what would you do if I said to you, listen, we are right now in alt season? Would you come rescue me out of the prison? Be honest, come on. And besides, with me in prison, who's going to give you all your altcoin calls? How are you going to make all the money? I can't leave it for Sheldon and Kyle. You guys need me. So yeah, that's what today's show is going to be about. A lot to talk about. First of all, up to 30 years in prison, you may be too. You may be too. We got to be careful here. Someone says, don't drop the soap. Don't worry. In my prison, there's going to be shower gels, bro. I'm going to show you a new trend in altcoins. And now we've got to make sure we don't miss this trend. Banter fam has to stay ahead of everybody else. I want to show you some other stuff, some really cool stuff. First of all, let me show you what we did yesterday. Let me show you this. Let me show you what we did yesterday. Remember I said to you we're going to put 1 million people through school for free. Well, yesterday we had our second class. The first class we did was 100 people. We just tested it with 100 people. Yesterday, we started putting 500 people through school. It was incredible. One of the best experiences I've ever had. Literally, we had 500 people who were being paid to learn about crypto, join our crypto school. And that's what we're going to give to this crypto industry. The legacy that I'm going to leave behind in the crypto industry before I go to jail is that I put 1 million people through crypto school. And I did it for free. Not only for free, but we actually paid them to learn. It was absolutely amazing. Really, really, really. So welcome back, guys. It's going to be a big show, huge show. You know what you need to do. You need to just smash that like button. As of yesterday, so I don't know about today, but as of yesterday, 90% of you were subscribers. You know what that means? That means that we now officially have the most loyal crypto community in the world. 90% of our viewers are subscribed to our channel. So that's huge. If you are one of those people, you're part of the fam. You're part of the Banter fam. And let me tell you, I'm here in Korea. I've seen amazing projects and people. But the best thing that I've seen is that we've got a massive Banter fam here in Korea. So many people came up to me and said, come on, let's do a meetup. We're here to meet you. I even met the people that won the free tickets and got the free Korea tickets. It was absolutely incredible. And it's so nice to be going everywhere in the world and just know that you've got a home, you've got a base, you got part of the Banter fam. Apparently even in prison. Apparently even now I'm going to go to prison for 30 years. Apparently there's Banter fam in prison. No jokes. There actually was a prison that mailed me about a year ago when it was alt season. They said, you know, our prisoners, actually they get like a certain amount of time when they can watch. And they were watching, they like watching crypto banter, which is amazing. So we're everywhere, we're in prison. And listen, we got to talk about this prison story because it is real. It can happen, and it can happen to you. And it can happen to me as well. In fact, I'm probably looking at about 30 years. Before that though, let me give you one more amazing show. Let me give you a whole lot of alpha. And once you got the alpha, then I'll go on my merry little way. And yeah, if anybody has a job for our social media manager, she's great. If you could just give her a job, she's really, really good. She's helped us a lot. She's managed lots of social media accounts, and we really want to make sure she has a job when we go one day. All right, let's talk about the markets. Enough of that. Let's talk about the markets. Remember, guys, all I need from you to get us unshadow banned is comment in the live stream, but mainly after the live stream. I need you guys to comment and like this video. Just smash the like button, obliterate it. Help us get unshadow banned. Later on in the show, I'm also going to show you how you can win a full Bitcoin. Time is running out. We have about 21 days. And if we pull this off, one of you wins a full Bitcoin. So that's how it's going to work. All right, let's look at the markets because that's what we're here to do. Remember, we're a crypto alpha show. We're not a prison show. So where are we? Bitcoin just had a little dip, 2.26% down on the day. And I'm not worried because I'll tell you why the dip happened. So the first thing is, let's look context where the dip is. We're still above the trend line. I'm watching this trend line on the way to 28,000, which I said I think we're going to get to. But we're going to go and we're staying above the trend line, which for me is really all I need to keep me on track. When it comes to the ETH trade, something is happening on the ETH trade. So what you're seeing here, and I'll make it a little bit bigger for those of you who are watching on your mobile phones, but ETH is just under that trend line now. Now, what we want to do is we want to make sure that ETH stays above this trend line. And that is, we're going to talk about that because it can mean that ETH is now overbought into the merge. I'll show you a couple of charts and you guys can make your own decision. Why is the market coming down? Well, the market's coming down because the Nasdaq's coming down. Why is the Nasdaq coming down? Well, that's what I'm going to tell you. That's why I'm here. I'm here to bring you alpha. So the reason why the Nasdaq is coming down is, remember that tomorrow is a big day. Tomorrow is the inflation day. And remember that we had expectations that the inflation numbers were going to be 8.7%. So the consensus forecast for inflation was 8.7%. You see that? That's the number that all the economists were forecasting. And remember, the actual number doesn't matter. It just matters whether you're going to be above or below forecast. That's all that people care about. But what happened earlier today, about 2 hours ago, is the Fed's Cleveland Fed's CPI nowcast, which is like their forecast of CPI, came in at just under 9%, 8.83%. So even though the market were expecting 8.7, they're saying, look, it's probably closer to 9%, which is coming down. Now, to me, okay, so the market came slightly down, but what we're seeing here is we're seeing the end of a cycle. It's like the final kicks of a cycle because the market doesn't really care about the inflation trade anymore. Everybody knows what's going to happen. We're going into September. The September inflation number is the one that really matters. And by that time, inflation should be done. And I'll show you in a second what's going to happen. But for now, what's going on is pretty simple. Well, we're having like a last, you know, like when you catch a fish and you catch the fish and you put on the boat and it flaps and it flaps and it flaps and it flaps and then it flaps. And then it flaps. And then there's like one last flap. That's what we're getting now. We're getting like that one last flap of inflation. I call that the flapping fish theory of inflation. That's where you heard it first. I just came up with it now, so you wouldn't have heard it anywhere before. It's called the flapping fish theory. What's important is that, and why do I say it's a flapping fish? I'll show you why. I saw what Raoul Paul said, and I think I really agree with what Raoul Paul said. The big concerns over inflation are evaporating. So he's saying, look, it's pretty much a narrative which is evaporating. If you look at all the things that make up inflation, all of them have come down in price a hell of a lot. So oil is now 26% below where it was a year ago. It's down 26%, almost where it was a year ago. The same is happening for gasoline. The same is happening for natural gas. The same is actually copper is below where it was a year ago, which means that you're kind of getting negative inflation. Price is actually going to start coming down. Wheat is also negative year on year. So if you take the wheat price last year at this price and you take the wheat price this year at this, what you realize is that the wheat price and the copper price are now below where they were a year ago. Corn is still positive, but it's just positive. And it will go negative very soon. Freight costs to get goods across borders also declined year on year, so that the prices have come down year on year. Container rates, getting a container to ship has gone down year on year. So that's down year on year. So what we're seeing is that inflation is really coming down, and what we're seeing now is the tail end of inflation. It's the last flap in the flapping fish theory. One day I'll tell you a lot more about the flapping fish theory because it's actually a real thing. So the prices are going down. And remember that what the number is doesn't really matter. What matters is what is the expectation versus what we get. And expectation tomorrow is now 8.9%. Remember, it was 8.7%. And then the Cleveland Fed published their thing, and that's what brought the Nasdaq down. And so now this Nasdaq is representative of an 8.9% inflation. Now, if inflation comes out above 8.9%, what do we get? We get the markets going down quite aggressively tomorrow, but they will then recover because everyone's going, okay, well, you know, inflation's a nothing burger. These numbers are just lagging. If inflation comes in below 8.9%, the markets run tomorrow. So you got to choose where you want to be. I can't tell you where to be. I can tell you where I am. I'm long, but that's because I'm naturally optimistic and also because I'm going to prison, and I want to be long in prison. Can you keep leverage positions open in prison? You can.
Diamond hands in prison.
Diamond hands. Well, you have to be diamond hands because you can't trade. No trading in prison. So if the inflation numbers come in above 8.9, well, then market goes down. If numbers come at below 8.9, market go up. If numbers go at below 8.7, market go up a lot. Okay, so that's pretty much the inflation trade. I think Carl Dupes made a chart. He's trying to make it go viral. That's his chart. What he did was he said, look, he took all the CPI forecasts and he looked at whether we were over or under and how the market performed. And what you realize from this chart is if we are under forecast, the market runs. If we are over forecast, the market doesn't run. That's it. Simple. You don't need to go. Let me just switch this off. You don't need to go to school to learn that. All you need to do is watch Carl Dupes every single day. Everyone says my forehead is blooming today. Yeah, maybe just let me just wipe it a little bit. I'm in Korea, guys. I'm bringing you a stream right here from my hotel. And listen, when I'm in prison, I'll bring you a stream from the prison cell too. I'll make a plan and I'll find a way to get you guys a stream. All right, let's talk about the markets. So not a lot of people believe this pump. Remember we said that we were some of the people that believe the pump. There are not a lot of people that believe the pump, and specifically not in the NASDAQ. And I'll show you why that's also okay. So if you look at the NASDAQ, if you're waiting around thinking you might buy the dip, looks like everyone is already big time short. So if you look at this number of open shorts on the NASDAQ, which is this bunch of contracts over here, you can see that the number of open shorts has been increasing, and it is the biggest that it's been. Let me actually give you a more accurate date. The amount of open shorts has never been this big since 2015. Now, what does that mean? It means that everybody's betting on the NASDAQ coming down. And if everybody's betting on the NASDAQ coming down, one of two things may happen. One is they may be right, and then the NASDAQ's coming down. Two is they may be wrong. And if they're wrong, we're going to get the biggest short squeeze that we've ever seen. Because if the number of open shorts on the NASDAQ has never been this high since 2015, and there is a short squeeze, we can get the biggest short squeeze since 2015. Can you imagine? The biggest short squeeze on the NASDAQ since 2015. It all depends on the inflation numbers now and the inflation numbers in September and how Powell reacts. I'm bullish. I think we're going to go up, but you know what? We can get another leg down, so let's not discount it. The good news is that if you think that the NASDAQ is going to go down, there is some good news. And the good news is that our correlation of Bitcoin with US Treasury bonds and tech equities is actually declined to the lowest level that it's been in a long time. In fact, let's look at the last time since February. So let's just quickly make sure Bitcoin's correlation with bonds and equities hits a 3-month low. So only 3 months. Okay. So yeah, people are saying Charles is not happy with me. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that at the end. Guys, remember, smash the like button. Bring all your friends here. Let's talk about this whole prison sentence thing. What else is there? So if we're right, and if Bitcoin continues to go up, we could be playing this kind of pattern. So this was a 2019 pattern where we washed out all the leverage. We had a final washout, and then Bitcoin started to go parabolic again. This was like the big, long bear market. And the same thing may be happening. I'm not saying it is, but I'm saying if you believe in this thesis, you may just want to look at this chart and say, you know, this may be happening. You got to remember one thing. For crypto right now, there is a lot of money sitting on the sidelines waiting to be deployed. Not only in USDC, the USDC reserves are very, very, very high. But also, if you look at the VC, there is about 23 billion worth of dry powder that's been raised recently that is going to be deployed into the crypto market. Now, of course, granted, that's not going to be deployed into Bitcoin, Ethereum, and any of the listed coins. It's going to be deployed into venture capital projects. But when those venture capital projects come to market and they do well, and we think they'll do well, those profits are going to be reinvested in Bitcoin and ETH. So there is a lot of money. Dry powder, money on the sidelines is an amazing, amazing, amazing thing. All right, let's talk about something completely different. I did say to you that we are in alt season, right? Remember, I said to you we are in alt season. Now, how many of you believe me that we're in alt season? If you believe me, just tell me in the comments below whether or not we're in alt season. We've had a great run on alts. But what if I told you it's actually alt season? It is actually alt season. It is. And that is, if you look at the official alt season measure, let me just zoom in for you guys. It says it's alt season. So what is the definition of alt season? Let's just quickly go and get the definition. The top 50 performers need to perform better than Bitcoin. So if you get, I think it's top 50. If the top 75% of coins perform better than Bitcoin over the last 90 days, it is alt season. And if you look at the top 75, if 75% of the top 50 coins have performed better than Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is down 16.5%, and if you were holding altcoins, well, these are the returns that you made. And let's look at some of the returns. If you would have owned Quant, you would have made 122%. If you would have owned ETH Classic, 90%. Uniswap, 80%. Lidodar, 51%. Matic, 46.2%. It just shows you that in this market, people aren't running back to Bitcoin. Now, it could be, a lot of it could be because of the Mt. Gox scenario, but a lot of it may be because the market is actually much bigger than Bitcoin. You can see the same thing is happening here in the Bitcoin dominance. The Bitcoin dominance is at 41.31%. Never ever did I think that we'd be in a position where we would have dropped an all-time high by 70%, and the dominance would be so skewed towards altcoins. People are asking, let's quickly go back to the thing. Let's see the worst performers in the top 50 coins: BCH, EGLD, CRO, Crypto.com, and Algorand. Algorand actually did very well today. I saw Algorand. We'll look at it in a second. There you go. You can have a look at it. Blockchaincenter.net altcoin season index. That's where you want, if you want to look at it. Anyway, this is a chart that is showing you that it's alt season. All right, let's go. Let's see what we're going to talk about before we get into the prison sentence. Oh, first of all, if you haven't subscribed to our trading competition, hurry up. We start on the 12th. Let's just quickly see how many people have subscribed. 1,244 people have subscribed to trading competition. Let me show you what it looks like and where you subscribe for the trading competition. And do it, guys, because we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to have a lot of fun on this trading competition. I'm going to sponsor 50 people. As soon as I get a list of the people that have entered, as soon as tomorrow, I'm going to sponsor 50 people. Hold on. I'm going to sponsor 50 people to actually be trading with us in this competition, but you got to be registered. Then I'll send the $250 to your account. You can trade on my money. And you know what? If it works, then you can keep the profits. Plus, you can win the prize money. It's $100,000 up for grabs. All you do is you go to the video right here. There's a referral link. You click on that referral link. That's where you go to do it. Also, while I have you all here, before we talk about the prison sentence, remember CoinStats. CoinStats is the app that I use to show me all my portfolios in one place. So if you got MetaMasks and all exchange accounts, and you want to see them all in one place, and you want to trade in one place, and you want to even deploy money into DeFi in one place, well, that's when I use CoinStats. Now, CoinStats cost about $8 a month. And if over 200 of us sign up, they're going to give one member of the Banter fam a full Bitcoin. So if you want to join that, it's so simple. Just go here. It's an amazing tool. Click here, pay $8 a month, and you'll stand a chance to win a Bitcoin. Now, the reason why I'm so excited about that is whenever you had a 1 in 200 or 300 or 400 chance of winning a Bitcoin, that's serious odds of actually winning. So sign up today. And yeah, I think it'll be amazing. I want to give you guys a Bitcoin. See, I negotiate well for you guys. I negotiate so well for the fam. Seriously. All right, let's talk about the prison sentence. And it's a serious thing. And the truth is that I've done something wrong, or maybe I have, but I can tell you that you have probably also done something wrong. And we need to talk about what that something wrong is. So you got to listen up. Because if you did what I did, you may need to see a lawyer. You may need to go and speak to a lawyer. That's so you don't get 30 years in prison. And the thing that could get you behind bars for 30 years is tornado cash. So yesterday we had an unprecedented move, well, not an unprecedented move, but almost an unprecedented move by the US government, where they sanctioned a decentralized protocol. They sanctioned tornado cash. Okay, now let's just talk about what that actually means. And I found a great tweet which kind of walks us through what that actually means. So it says, read this thread or go to jail for 30 years. And it's a true thread, not kidding. Tornado Cash added to the US sanctions list, okay, and $437 million of assets have just been blocked, people's assets that are sitting in Tornado Cash. So who imposes the sanctions? It's called OFAC, which is the Office of Foreign Assets Control. These are the people that sanction countries and individuals that help those countries. So, for example, Cuba, Iran, Iraq, North Korea. Sorry, it's raining outside. As you can hear, the rain's coming down on the window. But here we are bringing you crypto love and crypto wisdom. OFAC ensures that Americans cannot legally do business with Cuba, Iran, Iraq, and they actually publish a list. So here's the list of people that are not allowed, are sanctioned. So what they've done now is they've sanctioned Tornado Cash and all the Ethereum addresses related to Tornado Cash. This is a huge story for crypto. So even if you're not a Tornado Cash holder, if you never used Tornado Cash, you got to listen to the story because this is all out war, okay? Someone says here, oh, fuck. Yeah, it's so apt that they call themselves, oh, fuck, because like, you know that if you're on this list, you're fucked. So it's like, oh, fuck. Okay, so by virtue of the fact that Tornado Cash is now sanctioned in the United States, it means that anyone having any dealings with Tornado Cash can get prison sentences. It means if you're hosting their web domain, it means if you're dealing with them, if you're contributing to their GitHub, if you are using the protocol, you may be charged with breaching US sanctions, and that's a huge charge, and that can get you up to 30 years in prison. Now, what they've done is they've blocked or they've blacklisted up to 400 addresses, and they've frozen $437 million worth of stablecoins. So first of all, let's just talk about what Tornado Cash is. For those of you who don't know what Tornado Cash is, Tornado Cash is a mixer. Okay, what is a mixer? Think about a mixer as this glass over here. Okay, right now, when you make an Ethereum transaction, every single transaction that you make, you can see where the money came from. You can go to the blockchain and you can see where the money came from. By just clicking on the block explorer, you can see that address A paid address B. But if I take a glass and I put water from this bottle in the glass, this is an address. And then I take another bottle of water, a bigger bottle of water, and I put water from this bottle in the glass. And I shake the glass. And I take the contents of the glass and I drink the water. Where did that come from? You don't know because it's been shaken. So if you think about thousands of addresses depositing money into Tornado Cash, and when they withdraw it, well, it's like, oh man, we mixed it. It's become mixed. Now, people use this service to hide their identity when making Ethereum transactions. Now, you know that every time that you make a coffee transaction, you pay for coffee using Ethereum. Anytime you pay for anything, you're actually exposing your whole wallet. And the person who sees this, if you're just buying a cup of coffee, the barista from Starbucks can practically click on the block explorer and see every single transaction you've ever made, every single trade you've ever made, every single ICO that you've ever made. And it's not a practical system. So what do people do? They use services like Tornado Cash, where, I mean, we use services like Tornado Cash. Why? Because everybody knows what our addresses are, because you guys are so smart, you track our addresses. And if we want to make an investment and we don't want everybody following our investment or knowing that we've made the investment, well, then we just put the money into Tornado Cash and we draw it out on the other side. And that is a basic human right. You should have the right to privacy, right? Not all privacy is used for illicit reasons. Some privacy is just because I don't want you to know where I'm buying my apples from. I don't want you to know where I'm buying my wife's wedding ring from. I have the right to privacy. And so if I was using Ethereum and I needed to pay for a diamond or a ring, I would put the money into Tornado Cash and I would withdraw it on the other side. And that's why it's called a mixer. But now the US has sanctioned Tornado Cash and put this list, and it says it's illegal for any US person to engage in any trade, economic transactions, or other dealings with any person or country on the sanctioned list, which now includes Tornado Cash. And the fines are up to 30 years in prison and up to $330,000 in civil cases. Now, other dealings is quite broad. It means absolutely anything. Let me show you something scary. The Tornado Cash website is gone. Why? Because I guess that it was being hosted on a US server or a company that doesn't want to be seen as breaching sanctions in the US. And the Tornado Cash website's gone. Now, the protocol's not gone, but the website is gone. That's how serious this is. Let me show you some more of the implications just to give you an idea of how bad the implications are. So GitHubs, hold on, I've got to find this for you guys. I've got to find this. Hold on a second. Hold on, give me 1 second. I've got to find this for you. But people's GitHubs, here we go. So look at this. GitHub accounts which contributed to the code of Tornado Cash have been wiped. So imagine that you saw something in the code of Tornado Cash and you commented on it. Your account is now wiped, gone off GitHub, because GitHub is also centralized. Now, let's look at the facts around Tornado Cash. So Tornado Cash is a massive protocol. It's done about $7 billion in transactions from about 12,000 unique depositors, and it's earned about $20 million worth of fees. It's an amazing protocol. We've used the protocol a hell of a lot. We use it a hell of a lot. And the truth is, if I was American and I continued to use Tornado Cash, I could face up to 30 years in prison. And if you're American and you continue to use Tornado Cash, you could face up to 30 years in prison. Luckily, I'm not American, and where I live, South Africa, they don't have sanctions against Tornado Cash. But if they did, I could face up to 30 years in prison. So you got to be super careful. So Tornado Cash has done $7 billion. But if you look at Tornado Cash, only 10.5% of the funds that are siphoned through Tornado Cash are stolen funds. 17.7% of them are sanctions, and the rest are actually legitimate. So about 80% or 70% of the transactions on Tornado Cash are actually legitimate, which is ridiculous that the government has now decided that they're going to take a DeFi protocol, which actually has a legitimate use case, and sanction it. It is absolutely crazy. And the implications are huge. As I said, GitHub has switched off accounts, including, let me show you some of the accounts that it's actually switched off. So hold on a second. Okay, so even the founder of Tornado Cash, who, by the way, Tornado Cash is a completely decentralized protocol. They threw away the keys, right? So it's a decentralized protocol that lives on by itself now. And the founder's GitHub was suspended. A whole lot of other GitHubs were suspended as a result. Yeah, and it's absolutely crazy. So the Secretary, Anthony Blinken, from the US government, he said, we'll continue to aggressively pursue action against currency mixers, laundering virtual currencies for criminals. Today, the US Treasury sanctioned virtual currency mixer Tornado Cash, which has been used to launder money for US sanctions DPRK. Now, let's just quickly talk about what that means. It means that hackers, a lot of hackers, specifically the North Korean hacker group, which has been responsible for most of the hacks, well, they have laundered their money using Tornado Cash. And that's a true story. We did say that a certain percentage of Tornado Cash is used to, so here we go. We did say that 10.5% of it is used to launder stolen funds. And if you look at all the recent protocol exploits, Wormhole, Omni Protocol, Bifrost, all these protocols, well, the criminals, the hackers, did use Tornado Cash so that no one could track the funds. So there is an illicit use, but there's also as I said to you, there's also a real use case, which is not illicit, which is, hey, I just want to invest in something, and I don't want people to know how much money is in my ETH wallet. I want to buy something, and I don't want everybody to know that I'm buying it. And because ETH addresses are so easy to trace, well, now what we're seeing is that the US has blocked a legitimate DeFi protocol. And this sets a very dangerous precedent, because they could do the same tomorrow for Bitcoin. They could do the same for Ethereum. They could do the same for all the privacy coins. And this is an unprecedented move. And what it shows us is something else. The first thing that happened when Tornado Cash was sanctioned is that all the money that was stuck in Tornado Cash, all the USDC, which was deposited into Tornado Cash so people could withdraw it anonymously on the other side, well, what did Circle do? Circle, which is the centralized company which issues USDC, they blocked 70 addresses. I think it was 70 addresses. Let's just have a look here. They blocked Circle just for $75,000 belonging to unsuspecting Tornado Cash users, as well as 149 USDC donated to a project. They blocked a whole lot of these addresses. The Circle USDC that is sitting in these addresses is now blocked. It now cannot be used. Why? Because Circle is a centralized company, and they don't want to be in trouble with the US government. So when the US government is sanctioned Tornado Cash, if you've got WBTC, which is wrapped Bitcoin, or you've got ETH, USDC, well, that's now frozen, because your accounts are now blacklisted. And you can never move that. Every time you move that, that's money coming from a tagged account. It's terrible. What it shows us, though, is it shows us two things. The first thing is, if you look at Tornado Cash now, Tornado Cash price, even though the website is down, so get this, even though the website is down, the price of Tornado Cash is $21.89, which still gives it a market cap of $500 million and kind of takes it back to the levels that it was about 30 days ago. So the protocol hasn't crashed. That's the first thing. The next thing we see is how badly we need decentralized money. Because the problem is, now that USDC is centralized, what we're realizing is how bad the issue is with centralized money, even if it's centralized crypto money like USDC. Because USDC is sitting in Tornado Cash, we now have a different problem. You know the stablecoin called DAI, the one issued by MakerDAO? Well, that's 66% backed by USDC. So everyone thinks that DAI is backed by USDC. But what if that USDC is locked up in Tornado? And now all of a sudden, that DAI is not worth one. And so what we realize is that there's a whole lot of implications here because of the centralized coin issuer. And what it reiterates is it reiterates the need for decentralized money, a decentralized stablecoin. And who surfaced today, out of all people? Our friend Do Kwon. And he came back and he hasn't said much for a long time, but he said decentralized networks need decentralized money, obvious today more than ever. And it just shows you the part of the fight that we're in. Remember that whole thing about first they laugh at you. How does it go? First they laugh at you, then?
No, first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then the war starts.
So first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you. And now they're starting to fight us by putting sanctions on a decentralized protocol. And how this plays out is going to be super, super important. But what they've done is they've become draconian. They've become draconian. And you know what the irony is? That there are some people that are sitting in the United States that still believe that they're living in the land of the free. There are people that live in the United States and think that they're living in the land of the free, when the US government is showing you that you are far from free. You don't even have the right to privacy of your own transactions because they sanctioned a mixer, which is the only mechanism right now that could give you private transactions other than privacy coins. But let's look at some more of the implications just for fun. Well, for one, A16Z's GitHub account could be suspended because they were using the Tornado Cash code. Imagine that. Imagine A16Z's GitHub account could get suspended and gone forever. I saw another tweet, which I think was very, very, very good. Yeah, I mean, this is cool. The US bans its citizens from using Tornado Cash. The rest of the world's like, hey, what is Tornado Cash? They call it the Streisand effect. To be governed is to be watched, inspected, spied on, directed, law-driven, numbered, regulated, enrolled, indoctrinated, preached at, controlled, checked, estimated, valued, censured, commanded by creatures who have neither the right nor the wisdom nor the virtue to do so. I love that. That's exactly the world that we're living in, guys. That's exactly the world that we're living in. I mean, how many bad transactions have happened because of bank accounts or because of cash? I don't see the government banning cash. In fact, more politicians have used cash for illicit activities than people using Tornado Cash. That I can thank you for sure. This was my tweet of the day. Comes from Sicarius. He says, thankfully, I've never used Tornado Cash to launder money. I just use Kucoin like a normal person. You can just use an exchange. Yeah, so that's what it's about. All right. I did promise you, what do you think? Be careful, guys. If you are in the US, unless you want to spend up to 30 years in prison, be careful using Tornado Cash. Like, you got to be careful. Could this mean that exchanges now have to delist Tornado Cash? Because then it would only be available on decentralized exchanges. Because imagine you're a US exchange and you're in a, because remember that the Tornado Cash is actually a utility token. It's not, it's a utility token. It's the token that is used in the Tornado Cash network. Now imagine that you're an exchange that wants to do business in the US or wants to do business with US citizens, but at the same time, you're enabling a sanctioned party. That's not going to fly. That's not going to fly. So what am I going to do? I'm waiting for Tornado Cash to come down, and then I'm going to buy Tornado Cash because I've seen this happen before. China's banned Bitcoin many, many, many times. And today, Bitcoin is one of the biggest tokens in China. So that's it. Hopefully none of us go to prison for things. But come on, you got to admit, the towel was amazing, the thumbnail was amazing, it got you all here, and now we can all have fun. We can talk about a new trend in altcoins. So I want to highlight a new trend, and then you know what's going to happen is Miles Deutscher is actually going to do a show. Miles is amazing. He's doing these deep dives into projects. Look out for Miles' show later, because he's going to be introducing you to a new, not a new narrative, but certainly a narrative that we all got to be following. And the narrative that we all got to be following is one that has come out of necessity. So if you think about the last crypto collapse, what happened in the last crypto collapse is that a lot of tokens were rewarding you with yield for doing stuff on their network. So if you gave liquidity, if you did yield farming, you earned tokens of that protocol. Now, the reason why you earned tokens is because that protocol was printing more tokens to reward you for giving it liquidity, right? That's kind of like what happened. So every time you did DeFi, you staked your tokens, and they printed more tokens, and they gave you those tokens, right? And that's how we created yield. We actually created money for participating in the network. We created money through inflation. But the reality is that now there's a new narrative, and you guys have got to catch on to this narrative, and Miles is going to do a deep dive into it. But that narrative is called real yield. Okay, so how does real yield work? It's the next DeFi trend, and what it does is it gives you yield in USDC or Ethereum or another token that is actually not the token that we're talking about. Now, this real yield is rewarding, or this narrative is looking for protocols that give you that kind of yield. Protocols like Gains Network, we spoke about that yesterday. GMX, which I've spoken to you about a long time before. Curve and Convex, Dopex. All these tokens that actually need your money to operate, to create liquidity, and they reward you from the transaction fees, and that's called real yield. And that is a narrative which is now making a lot of cash. So make sure that you're following this real yield. Watch Miles' show later, because it's going to be an amazing show. He's going to teach you all about real yield. All right, quickly, let's see what else there is. There are a couple of other things. The Celsius short squeeze. So we've been following the Celsius short squeeze. So remember that most of the Celsius is actually locked up in Celsius. And some people went short. And now they're being squeezed, and they're being squeezed so badly that Celsius is now up, since its low, it's up 1,000%, 936%. The Celsius short squeeze is real. If you're short Celsius, the guys are squeezing you. Now, don't get involved in this. Don't be buying this token, because this short squeeze is going to end badly, and this token is eventually going to go to zero, close to zero. And I don't want you guys to be involved when that happens. All right, what else is there? There may be one or two other things that I wanted to speak to you about. I mean, if you think that your losses were bad, just think that SoftBank lost over $10 million per hour in the whole of Q2. They lost $3,000 per second. You know who else lost a lot of money, keeps losing money, but yet people keep thinking that he's amazing, is Mike Novogratz, Galaxy. Galaxy lost another $554 million in a quarter, and so far, their losses have been $2.5 billion. So Mike Novogratz, so far, has lost, all he's done so far with Galaxy is lose $2.5 billion. So let's just see where this goes. I mean, he could recover from it, but up until now, what's true till now is that he lost $2.5 million. Lastly, I spoke about Kujira. Remember I spoke to you guys about Kujira? Remember that token? Kujira's got an amazing story. Kujira is a protocol that was built on the Luna Terra network. The Luna Terra network went to zero, and most tokens on the Luna Terra network either migrated to the new chain, which is pretty much a ghost chain, or went to zero. Not Kujira. Kujira immediately started coding their own blockchain on the Cosmos SDK. And they built this amazing blockchain. And now, today, what they announced is that they are launching a stablecoin. So they're launching a stablecoin on Cosmos, and they're launching one of the first stablecoins on Cosmos called USK, which is absolutely amazing. Now, I just want to show you what a resilient team looks like. And now, we are investors. We haven't sold a single token ever of Kujira. We love Kujira. And I just want to show you like what a good project looks like. What's important in life is not how you do when the tide is good, but what happens when you get knocked down and how quickly you get up again. And look at this. You know, like these are people that launched the token. The token in its heyday went to, just for a very short time, about $1.18, but it was trading at about 75 cents. Luna collapsed, the token went to zero, less than 1 cent. And today, these guys are back at 81 cents. Now, why am I telling you this? I'll tell you why I'm telling you this. One, because I'm a very proud investor. I'm a very proud investor in Kujira because we invest in people. People are building amazing things. And to see a team get knocked down and build themselves up within 3 months to get to where they are is amazing. And what you got to remember is behind all these Twitter faces and YouTube and nasty comments are actually real people building, dedicating their lives to building amazing projects so that we can have a brighter future. And Team Kujira, I mean, well done to you guys. You guys have bounced, and what you've shown is that even when you take a big knock, you can get up and you can do better. And that's the kind of spirit I want from every single one of you at the Banter fam. We may get knocked down. I certainly got knocked down with Luna. You've all seen the Scott Melker interview. But what's important is not when you get knocked down. It's how quickly you can rebound and how high you're going to go. And I guarantee you these guys are going to go higher than they were before. Lastly, which I think is pretty cool, imagine shilling SafeMoon like Portnoy. So Portnoy, Dave Portnoy, was shilling SafeMoon. 5:30 this morning, a guy rocks up at his house with a subpoena or a summons or whatever they delivered to his house for shilling SafeMoon. He says, are you fucking shitting me? I woke up today to this guy pounding at my door at 8 a.m. for 10 minutes straight. Thought I was under attack. Nope, just telling me I was getting sued for shilling SafeMoon. I'm the only guy who loses all his money in SafeMoon and gets sued for it.
This is a document. It's so stupid. So what time is it right now? What time is it right now?
It's about 8:15.
How many times were you knocking on my door for this shit?
I just did, like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, but how long were you knocking?
I knocked 3 times.
Bullshit, you did. My dog's going crazy.
No, I just knocked. Literally knocked 3 times.
Imagine shilling SafeMoon. I mean, Dave Portnoy hasn't had any luck in crypto. Well, Donald Trump also hasn't had any luck. Apparently they raided his house in Mar-a-Lago. Trump, it doesn't end for him. All right, guys, listen. Love you madly. You guys are the best fam in the world, and I'm proud to be bringing you guys shows every single day. Remember that you can join the trading competition. Let's see how your trading competition is doing. 1,262, join the competition. Let's see how our positions are doing. Okay, so our positions are coming down a little bit. Not bad. Positions are coming down a little bit because Bitcoin's coming down a bit. Let's take one look. 23,035. I guarantee you the Nasdaq's down, and that's what's going on here. Nasdaq is down. That's what's going on here. You see, that's the Nasdaq. That's what's causing all the pain here. Don't worry, it's just pre-inflation jitters. It'll all be okay tomorrow. I'll be back here tomorrow, having fun with you guys. Love you guys madly. It's 11 o'clock at night. I've got to go to a K-pop bar right now. See you guys again tomorrow. Until then, have fun. Trade well, my friends. Fun show. Super fun. I love this community, bro. It's such a pleasure to give this community, to make content for this community. It's just like, it's a privilege. That's what it is. It's a privilege. Making content for this community is an absolute privilege.